It's 1 o'clock somewhere, a fantasy football podcast. With Jarrett and Benny. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time. It's 1 o'clock somewhere, a fantasy football podcast.
And welcome in. It is episode 2, Jarrett, of It's 1 o'clock somewhere, fantasy football podcast. We are excited to bring you a awesome show for you because, as we promised during the first show that we did last week, it's quarterback rankings time. Where better to start when you're talking about fantasy football or talking about football in general than with the signal callers?
That's the best position on the planet. I mean, we're talking regardless of sport. It's the hardest one to do. I admire it very deeply. Can't wait to cut into these guys. We got plenty of riffraff to go back and forth on, and obviously a lot of Jalen Hurts talk. So I'm excited.
There will be plenty of talk in general, Jalen Hurts and all the quarterbacks in the NFL that we'll rank. We're ranking all 32. So preface this by saying this is for fantasy football purposes. This is not necessarily, obviously, Patrick Mahomes has the resume right now, but this isn't necessarily about resume. This is about where these guys are going to be for your fantasy season. And that's what we're getting ready to do. We're going to rank them all. But first, though, Jarrett, we do want to remind our listeners, follow us on social media. The Instagram is up. The Facebook page is up. And we also have a YouTube page and a Spotify. Kind of tease the Spotify coming up in, I guess, a couple more weeks, kind of work some things out here behind the scenes. But follow us at 1 o'clock somewhere on social media. And you can also email us 1o'clocksomewhere@gmail.com if you have any questions. And, of course, you can comment your questions in the chat here, and we'll get to you as the show is going on. But to start, we want to touch on some very big news, Jarrett. Guys got paid. Guys got hurt. We're doing contract extensions. We're doing injury updates. That's all going to happen right now. So, Jarrett, I'm going to bring up the graphic right here. People got paid. Guys were getting paid. Money. How about that? Chris Olave, Zay Flowers, and more. Yeah.
I mean, both of these guys absolutely deserving of their contracts. Pretty much looking at the exact same for both. Olave, a 4 for 132, and Zay Flowers, a 4 for 140. I mean, you're talking two young receivers who, at this point, general managers don't really have that much of a say with contract negotiations. It's just the next man up. He gets paid. Zay Flowers, undignified number 1. I know they drafted a couple of receivers in this draft, but if any other signs needed to point forward for Zay Flowers, I'm going to have to move him up in my rankings. Money plays a big part for me when I'm looking at my, just in general, the totality of rankings, especially when I'm drafting. If I'm uncertain with two guys, a guy that just got a contract opposed to someone who may run out of a contract or is trying to fight for a contract, contracts that we were talking about, these two, you see these two handsome gentlemen at the bottom of our screen, Olave and Zay Flowers, it just gives me that much more reassurance that the team believes them more than anything. And it's funny for Olave because it seemed like a year ago, no one wanted him for fantasy. Trying to trade him away in Dynasty was nearly impossible. Wanting him in just redraft was you were getting him round 8, round 9. No one wanted him with a 10-foot pole unless you were a Saints fan. So it is nice to see a full circle with him finally getting a quarterback. Kellen Moore obviously enters the fold, helps a bunch in New Orleans. And, him and Tyler Shuck, obviously new addition, Jordan Tyson. The Saints offense is starting to look pretty, but the Ravens offense just going, all right, we'll give you Zay Flowers, and hopefully these other cats develop, and we'll figure it out. But I'm happy for both these guys. They're both beyond deserved.
Yes, and it also on the heels of our show last week, Jahmyr Gibbs also got paid. It's great when you hear all these guys getting paid. Where Chris Olave, I mean, the contract for Chris Olave, I don't think necessarily impacts where he will kind of set up in the Saints offense. At the end of the day, I think Chris Olave is there. I think they drafted Jordan Tyson to kind of be a pair with him. And I think that's the way it's kind of going to be. I think, is Chris Olave going to have a season like last year? Maybe not, but I do think it's maybe going to be a couple degrees short of that. I still think he's fantasy worthy. For Zay Flowers, I mean, who else do they have on that offense? Right. They got rid of Isaiah Likely. We know they have Derrick Henry. We know they have Mark Andrews, but really it is Zay Flowers. And I think for a lot of people, the touchdown equity hasn't been there. I'm kind of thinking this year with a different offensive coordinator, a different offensive approach, and a different head coach, you're going to see a lot of changes persist with this Ravens attack. And then with Jahmyr Gibbs, the only thing at this point that kind of has me a little nervous about Jahmyr Gibbs is the Lions, and kind of we'll tie this in with the injuries coming up in a second. There's also one more contract extension we have to talk about. With the Jahmyr Gibbs extension, the only thing that kind of scares me a little bit, Jared, is the Detroit Lions kind of still don't have a great offensive line. Like, I know that's kind of, wild to say because they, Perry Sewell, you have some good tackles, but like in the middle, they went out and they had to get a new center. That center is now hurt. So they have to kind of maybe reshuffle things in the interior part of their line. I don't know if I'm necessarily big on that. Now, we know Jahmyr Gibbs is going to get his catches, but the other thing that scares me is like he's going to be out there a lot because Isaiah Pacheco also went down. He sprained his MCL. And now, if you're the Lions, it literally is just Jahmyr Gibbs. Like there's really no one else you have back there to give carries to because the third string running back effectively is a special teams player.
Right.
So, I'm not saying this to kind of dissuade anyone from drafting Jahmyr Gibbs at the 1 or at the 2. If he's there, you take it, process before we talk about, things that don't necessarily, impact it. But I will say, you might want to try and find some kind of handcuff there or definitely, load up on running backs if you do draft Jahmyr Gibbs just in the effect that something does happen.
Absolutely. I have to worry about the workload.
There you go. You can talk a little bit more about Jahmyr Gibbs.
I'm right there with you. The offensive line is definitely worrisome. They took the cat, round 2? They traded out of round 1, dumped all the way back to round 2. So now he's hurt. They lost Glass now. They lost, I already said that. They lost the guard, Graham Gaslau. Gasnow and Gaslau is way too much going on over there. They still have Decker and Penne like you addressed. I'm not incredibly worried about the offensive line, so to speak, but the workload for sure. I do always, when I'm going into a season, I love the guy that is the guy, and he doesn't have any competition, especially when we're talking the running back. He's going to get a bunch of pass catches. But Jahmyr Gibbs, in his case, he obviously started his career with David Montgomery, kind of worked into that 1-2 role, and now he is the guy, and I'm just going to take talent here. Like you're saying, should we steer away from it? No. But just keep it in the back of your mind. Jahmyr Gibbs, you probably want to leave with an Isaiah Pacheco or at least 2 or 3 other backs on your team. At least look at your bench and go, okay, I don't like this, but if God forbid, I have to flex him, Gibbs.
Yeah.
But, we're talking, what could be. But Jahmyr Gibbs is locked and loaded stud.
I've always been a big proponent of if you go running back in the first round, especially if you're an early first round, if you have a deep enough draft where you're picking, 15, 16 rounds, use that last pick. Like instead of wasting it on like a kicker or a defense, just try to grab a handcuff, especially if you have a couple IR slots. Grab an injured player, throw them on your IR, stash them, and then grab like the handcuff running back for one of the guys you grabbed earlier. Like, Isaiah Pacheco is great for Gibbs. The one that's going to really catch a lot of people. I guarantee you this is going to happen for a fantasy draft. Is someone's going to draft Brian Robinson thinking they're drafting Bijan Robinson.
Right.
Because now there's 2 B Robinsons back to back on the Falcons. It's like that was whoever did that, man. That is cruel.
You're gonna get the fun uncle at the draft that sees ATL and B Robinson. Good enough for me.
Slaps it on I'll take it, and then you're gonna be like, that's not Bijan. He's got dreads, and all of a sudden now Brian Robinson's going 2nd overall. But that's gonna happen in drafts. So pay attention to that. But yeah, later in the draft, grab Brian Robinson. If you draft Christian McCaffrey early on, go out and get Keldon Black. Like, you want to make sure you grab the handcuffs for those guys because you don't want to be left with your pants around your ankles week 5 if they end up getting hurt, God forbid. The final extension here was Laramie Tunsil. And we can use this to kind of bridge the gap into the injury bug. Because Laramie Tunsil signs his extension with the Washington Commanders, so now they have their left tackle in play, which I think a lot of Commanders fans are kind of sigh of relief. That's going to be good for Jaden Daniels long term. However, we get news today that Laramie Tunsil will likely miss the bulk of the season, not the entire season, Jared, but the bulk of the season with a torn tricep muscle. He's having surgery on it. He's likely going to miss. They haven't estimated, but they're just saying the bulk of the season. That can be anywhere between 10 to 12 weeks. So to me, if we get that news today, the graphics were already kind of made in the pan. I don't think that moves Jaden Daniels for me too much down the rankings. I will say it does have me a little bit worried for his health this year because, last year they ran him into the ground. He was getting pounded constantly, and now you're out the left tackle. It's not good.
No, it's not a good look at all, especially when you just paid Cat, so you were hoping, he could be a testament for as long as you're going to pay him. Unfortunate to say the least. Like you're saying, I don't necessarily think it's going to – if I'm sitting there draft day and I'm looking, as we're going to touch into it in a little bit, so I'm not going to give away too much, but if I'm looking between him and 1'OCLOCK right next to him, and it's not going to go, he doesn't have a left tackle, let me go this guy. But it is something to keep a note in the back of your head to go, all right, yeah, he doesn't have a left tackle probably till week 12, week 13. I'm not a doctor, but not having a left tackle is definitely not going to keep your quarterback upright. So, and a quarterback that already we are worried about injury-wise, even before he got drafted, we were worried about injury-wise. It is something to keep in the back of your head. But that was a good for being professional. We went from contract to injury, one in the – it's nice. We got a laundry list if you want me to just rapid fire everyone that's sitting on here.
Floor is yours for these injuries, man. They're coming hot and heavy here in the preseason.
And it is something to keep in note, right? Like, we're bringing these up for, to keep in the back of your head. You don't need to necessarily go, I'm going to list off a couple of these guys. Don't mark them off of your draft board. You don't need to move them 3 rounds below where they go, and now they're unavoidable. Just in the back of your head, maybe watch it, maybe update them on Sleeper. If you got a dynasty team, you've already been paying attention. But for the people that are redraft heavy, just keep it in the back of your head. And I'll just get this out the gate. Just San Francisco 49er receivers are dealing with a Spider-Man electrical problem right now. So just try and stay away the best you can. But we'll cut this up. J.K. Dobbins, who already said he's okay. He already looked at the media, gave a thumbs up, and was like, I'm good. Stop talking about me. Like, I'm straight. But Jalen Waddle hasn't practiced in 2 days. Mekhi Lemon with the hamstring. Puka Nacua apparently left early today, was not able to continue practicing. Josh Jacobs left with a mild injury. Mike Evans hasn't been seen in a little bit. Luther Burden is dealing with a groin injury.
Uh-oh.
Christian McCaffrey, shocker.
Groin strain.
Alec Pierce, Jordan Love. Alec Pierce should be fine for week 1. Apparently he got a shot, but just keep all these in the back of your head. And, we're coming – in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, when you actually start drafting, when you should be drafting as close to the end of August as you possibly can, just keep a couple of these in the back of your head. But no one to drastically worry about unless your name's Laramie Tunsil.
Yeah, again, if to me the only one that kind of seems like I'd move him down a little bit is Luther Burden, just because some people are so high on Luther Burden, and we can obviously address it and get kind of it. It's a little too sweet for my taste. That's just the long and short of it for me. But it just little too high for him. But now that he's going to be missing pretty much every practice until week 1 of the season, when they build up to week 1 of the season, I think he does slide down a little bit in my rankings. But we're doing quarterback rankings today. We're not doing wide receiver rankings. But we are doing is we're going to recap what we saw last week. Excuse me, that was the wrong graphic right there. Last week we saw the Hall of Fame game, and it was cool to see football back. I think some people are going a little too crazy with the Hall of Fame game. Like I saw some people that are literally like, that was one of the greatest football games ever. That was better than the Super Bowl. Like we're really going there right now. Like, come on, you can't. It's better than the Super Bowl. What are we talking about?
No, it was fun seeing, the new cats, Haynes King and Carson Beck slinging around and looking as good as they did. But the bulk for me, at least, was the big cats coming out. It was the Luke Kuechly coming out, giving his speech. The Drew Brees is coming out in the world. But yeah, I'm right there with you. Everyone going, Haynes King's coming for Bryce Young's job. What are we doing?
Like, what are we talking about?
Carson Beck. On the other hand, he's got a valid chance. He's got Jacoby Brissett.
Well, yeah. I mean, the floor, that floor is so
it's
low.
Already so low.
And to be honest, I mean, I'm a big college football guy too. People know when I do the draft guides in the off season. I watch a lot of college football. I cover it for the University of Delaware, and I'm a big Penn State fan. So I watch all kinds of college football, and I paid attention to Carson Beck. He's again, competent quarterback. I think he'll, if he comes in, he's not gonna again. This is just my assessment of him. I don't think he's going to be the worst quarterback out there. That being said, I mean, if you're a team that has Carson Beck starting, you're probably not going to be winning many games. That being said, you're not going to look terrible. It's just you're not going to win many games. He's not a quarterback that's going to win you games. Well, unlike Fernando Mendoza, I think Fernando Mendoza has the potential to be a great leader. I think Carson Beck, I just didn't see it. I just didn't see it at Miami. What I saw in Miami was more of the trailer being pulled by the tractor. That was the Miami defense. What I saw at Indiana was Fernando Mendoza was the tractor in that situation. He was pulling everyone and kind of bringing the team up. You don't really get that out of Carson Beck. But that being said, hey, maybe there's something there. But I have my doubts.
Yeah, I was a little upset beforehand. They immediately brought that out. It was 24 hours before the game. Jeremiah Love will not play. All right, Jarrett's interest goes way down. It's okay. Tomato.
It's craters. But I mean, it was like the whole point of the Hall of Fame game is obviously the Hall of Fame, which I've been there. I actually went this past July to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It is a very cool Hall of Fame. I've been to the Baseball Hall of Fame and I've been to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It is I don't know if you've ever been.
I've never been. I need to go.
It's definitely worth it. It's a cool. I mean, Canton's just a cool town. They have breweries and stuff, so you like drinking beer. It's a great spot too. And the entire town is bought in on football, which is pretty cool. But yeah, it's a great place, and it was really cool to again, I grew up watching Adam Vinatieri make kicks. It's crazy to see him in the Hall of Fame. I grew up watching Luke Kuechly, going sideline to sideline for the Panthers, and Drew Brees.
Bad boy.
Yeah, I mean, Luke Kuechly is a bad man.
He's a bad dude.
Yeah.
Second best backer of all time, but that's for another show.
I think he's a very good linebacker. I don't know if I'd put him number 2. Definitely in the top 10 though. I mean, he's
we can't. No. Move. No. Oh my God.
I mean, there's some great linebackers there all time, but Luke Kuechly's amazing. Adam Vinatieri, probably the most clutch kicker of all time. Larry Fitzgerald, Larry Fitzgerald's the one guy possibly top 5. I mean, I definitely think a top 5 receiver in the history of the NFL. Just his hand. I mean, he has more tackles than drops.
Yep.
As a wild stat. Now I know it's a fake.
Larry Legend stat.
Larry Legend stat. I know it's not necessarily a real stat, but
Isn't he was 1 or 2 off from that though? It's not technically true, I think but it's literally there.
Yeah, but it's okay, that's not true. It's technically maybe
9
15
drops
tackles,
for 7 tackles. Yeah.
It's maybe 15 tackles and maybe 18 drops. But that's it's like the people that say if I had a nickel for every time this happened, I'd have 2 nickels. But it's crazy that that's happened twice.
You still have a nickel for that, right?
You still have a nickel for that. It's kind of crazy that it's happened twice. Like Larry Fitzgerald, and then of course Drew Brees. I mean, he's probably one of the great stories for quarterbacks in the NFL. You're talking about a quarterback that and I mean, again, just being romantic about football and being romantic about the stories that these guys go through. The rise of Drew Brees having some great years in San Diego and then getting hurt. And then
what's next?
I mean,
right.
The choice for him, and think about this, the choice for him in free agency that year was literally to go to the rebuilding Dolphins or the just had a hurricane that devastated your city. You might not be able to play in your stadium Saints.
The Saban rebuilding Dolphins?
The Saban rebuilding. I mean, Nick Saban talks about the story. Yeah.
Oh God.
But Nick Saban talks about the story all the time. They came an injury waiver away from Drew Brees being a Dolphin. That's how close it was. So, I mean, and then to take the Saints from mediocrity. I mean, the Saints had been through Aaron Brooks.
Think about the difference between Sean Payton and Nick Saban. If that
wow.
Wow.
It's crazy, Well, I mean, obviously Nick Saban's the greatest college coach, fizzled out in the NFL. Sean Payton, one of the great NFL coaches, Super Bowl winning coach now, and what he's doing in Denver.
Don't worry, you don't have to call him one of the best coaches of all time because I'm here. I have my own issues with Sean Payton.
I have my issues too. Football. I have my issues with him too. But for all intents and purposes, a great head coach. And just the story for Drew Brees is amazing. So, what's crazy to me is to see all those guys going into the Hall of Fame. That means they played their entire career, and they retired. And it's been, I think, 5 or 7 years, somewhere in that range, where it's they played. Play 5. I think it's around 5. And now they're in the Hall of Fame. When I saw Larry Fitzgerald walk out there, and he's got a little salt and pepper in his beard and his dreads, and I'm like, okay, all right.
Really
all right, hold on. The knees clicking. I'm like, I'm not digging that.
Luke was the sad one for me. I mean, I idolized growing up for me. I played the linebacker position for youth and middle school for a little bit, and I wore 58 and 59 for Von Miller and Luke Kuechly. I couldn't make my mind up. I went back and forth. I just loved them both. I love the way that Luke dissected the game. And then in 15, the way that him and Peyton Manning, that chess match in the Super Bowl. I mean, the way that people talk about Luke Kuechly, it's like he knew it was coming before the offense even created the play call. They had the formation out on the field. A left tackle was going, what is it? And Luke Kuechly's like, it's going here. Like, what? What's happening? And Luke Kuechly, like a bottle of lightning flying at you. But, yeah, this was a really great class. And Roger Craig, can't forget, great Niner running back.
Roger Craig. Though I will say,
legend.
PPR legend, I will say, and this is just because I am a little bit of a football historian. I don't necessarily agree with him getting in. I kind of have him as a Hall of Very Good. I think for me, he's the line, right on the line, line for me.
Derrick Henry, Roger Craig, all time.
I think when it's all said and done, Derrick Henry.
Oh. So not yet.
It's all said and done.
So not yet. Yeah.
Yeah. So when we talk about the quarterbacks, I mean, there's 3 quarterbacks that if they retired today could walk into the Hall of Fame. And that's obviously it's Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers could just.
Okay. I'm gonna be honest. He went right over my head for a second. Yeah. I forgot he's still kicking.
Patrick Mahomes is one where I'm like, okay, we're there. And the third. I'll save for when we talk about that. But that's to me, that's
good tease.
That's the tease right there to keep people watching. But all right. Well, speaking of watching, what to watch for?
Guess, by the way, I do have my guess. I'm writing it down so you don't think I'm just I don't know.
Okay. All right. I'll let you write it down. But while we're keeping people watching here, what to watch for? So obviously preseason football is back. I would venture to say the majority of the players that are going to be mentioned on this show today probably will not play. But that being said, if they do, obviously you want to pay attention to some of the lower quarterbacks that are fighting it out, battling it out. Your Browns situation, your Raiders situation, even though I kind of have a feeling as to where that's going to go. I would have said the Vikings, if not for what happened about 6 hours ago, where they decided that it's going to be Kyler's, So I guess you're going to watch JJ McCarthy. I would never recommend anyone watch JJ McCarthy play football. That guy's atrocious. But Jarrett, what are some things to watch for football? Or because it's preseason, do you have a TV show you freaking like? Because it's preseason football, man. I mean, if someone wants to go to the bar to watch preseason football, that's cheers on you.
You're doing it right. I hear you though. I mean, for one, my show that I'm very upset just ended on me. House of Dragons. I'm a very big Dragons guy. Game of Thrones, House of Dragons. I love all that medieval stuff. I will eat all that up all day long. And that just ended. If you know, you know. It's so sad. But that just ended. I'm real big on anime too. But I'm a geek. I got a lot of looking out for. I mean, especially with what just came out the other day. Ty Simpson, he'll get a lot of reps as the 2, not Stenson Bennett. Yep. So I'm excited to say, all right, we took the cat. Is it, I feel like he's Sean McVay's giving him the opportunity. Hey, I know what I have in Bennett. You gonna be this cat that I should have drafted round 1, or are you just gonna what's going to happen here? If he just randomly Dak Prescott's and lights it up in the preseason, and we got not a situation where he's coming for Stafford's gig, but anything were to happen to 9, Ty Simpson, a little Stenson Bennett little rivalry going on right now. I'm all for it. I need to know who the Commanders' running back is. I don't want to draft
flesh
Bill
that out.
Crosby, but
because it's Rachaad White or it's Bill Crosby
or
Bill
the
Crosby
other cat that they took, the rookie.
Yeah, I forgot about him. So for all here's if it's a 3-headed monster, I want none of them.
All right,
but
yeah,
if it's down to 2, and if it's like Bill and the rookie, that might, to me, you can get Bill for almost free at this point.
What's
he's going
Katron Allen.
Yeah, Katron Allen at Penn State. I forgot him, and then Nick Singleton's on the Titans. Singleton's a guy. Watch out for him. But Katron Allen to me is Katron Allen to me, big power. He was a power back, kind of used as a power back out of Penn State. But guy's got hands. He's got he's got a step on him. So to me, if it's the rookie and Krosky Merritt and Rachaad White's just the veteran in the locker room, I would possibly throw a late flyer on Katron Allen or be like, that's my week 1 waiver wire just to kind of grab him and have him. Right. If it's Rachaad White and Krosky Merritt and Katron Allen, they're going to use a 3-headed monster. I want nothing to do with any of that.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I need to see a little bit of a difference or a gap between maybe even if it's my eye test between Bill, Katron, Rachaad, or it's the coach signifiably saying he's going to get 3rd down opportunities here. We're going to see him in the pass catching role. But I don't see that to be the case here. But I need to see it. At the end of the day, I know I'm thinking this right now, but preseason has its way of playing out. Obviously, injuries are a factor. So I like to be on the forefront and see it for myself. And I'd be reminisced if I wasn't going to talk about my boys. The talk in town right now in Denver is Pat Bryant. I don't know if you got your ear anywhere near
Jonah
Denver.
Coleman too. Jonah Coleman. I hear a lot about Jonah Coleman.
They're everywhere. Cortland Sutton's doing his thing. He's off and on every other week. Jalen Waddle's not practicing. Who would have thought? But apparently Pat Bryant and Jonah Coleman are the stars of town. And Justin Jolly, the tight end that we took out of NC State. These young kids are coming. Sean Payton, I think, with Davis Webb now calling plays, I think we're going to take a little bit of the leash off of Bo. And I don't know. I'm excited. If Pat Bryant randomly shocks some people and we're going war this Cortland Sutton, are we there yet? I don't know. But preseason could be the tell.
I'm mostly interested in seeing, because I think we kind of agree. I know he's your coach. Sean Payton is very frustrating for fantasy because he's done it to me. Where I picked up Cortland Sutton one year and that was the year he was doing 0, 0, 5, 0, and I'm like, okay, straight up cut him. The next week, 17.
It goes on a tear.
Yeah. And I'm like, you gotta be.
Dude, that Russell Wilson year, if I could Spider-Man just wipe it out of my head, I would in a heartbeat. Oh,
this is a conversation. This is a conversation I'd love to have with you. Did Russell Wilson play his way out of the Hall of Fame conversation? Because I think
how much time do we have?
maybe we'll put a pin in this and we'll do it the off season. But to me, everything after Seattle has been so bad. But we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that later. But
he had his own office, Ben. His own office.
What does he got? Doesn't he have a house that has 30 bathrooms in it?
God, it was ridiculous. His wife had her own parking space.
Yeah, just what are we doing? What are we doing with
the wall? I thought he was our Messiah.
But that being said, as much as Sean Payton frustrates me, and he does, I just, knowing how talented Bo Nix is, knowing what this offense could be, everyone's hoping for the next Michael Thomas. Everyone's hoping for the next Alvin Kamara. Everyone's hoping for the next Taysom Hill role to develop in Denver at some point. And is that going to be Jonah Coleman? Is it going to be RJ Harvey? Is it going to be Pat Bryant? Who's that going to be? I think Jalen Waddle's Jalen Waddle. I think that if there's a Bronco to draft outside of Bo Nix, to me it's Jalen Waddle. And then really, I wouldn't want to take any other of them aside from who ends up kind of getting fleshed out in that backfield. But it kind of feels like
something more without Court, or if you give me a little bit with him in the red zone, and Sean just keeps talking about him. I mean, there's Troy and Marvin Mims that are still on the team, so we have 5 receivers. There's a lot of mouths to feed.
Troy Franklin, a teammate of Bo Nix. So like, you know, I think Troy Franklin's just going to constantly be a presence, and if he's on the field, you're gonna think about like, well, they have that connection. They have more chemistry than anyone else on this. Like, I just don't know what to think. I just don't know what to think with them. And Pat Bryant was getting hyped last year as like the big tight end slot guy, and if you picked him up, you kind of felt like, well, you know, nothing yet. But you know, is it this year? I don't know. You know, and Sean, to me, I just want to see what fleshes out there. I just want to see what's coming down the line there.
No, I'm also there with you. Minus Waddle, I'm very worrisome of everyone, even Sutton's involvement on the offense. But we got a bunch of quarterbacks to cut into, brother.
We do. Before we get to those, we do have some comments to touch on. Some people are leaving some comments, so thank you very much. What do we have here? We have Dalt. It's 1 o'clock somewhere. Yes, it is, my friend.
Shout out to the big man.
Shout out to the big man. Thank you for the opportunity to do the show. What do we have here? We have Nate Smythe. Benny's voice puts me at ease.
So what does mine do? That's great. What I mean? It's 2 hours here.
Nate's a very good friend of mine. So appreciate you, Nate. And I'm happy to hear that you're doing well, my friend, and getting back to work after your health scare. So love you, man. And we'll talk soon. What's going on with Fratty? What's going on with Fratty here? The people in this sleeper league. Oh, I think he's talking about one of his fantasy leagues here, but he also is Tommy Cutlets available? Sure, somewhere here.
Sure.
Somewhere. It's 1 o'clock somewhere. It's Tommy Cutlets somewhere. Dalt, I miss the NFL so much. Brother, I think everyone does. Like people
everyone thinking Haynes King is the next Cam Newton. You know,
what are we doing with the Haynes King stuff? It's like, bro,
he's clutch. He's got ice. He's clutch.
Oh, Haynes King's the next. Dude, I saw an article. Oh my God, Jared, I saw an article, and it was like, will Haynes King be the Panthers' new Taysom Hill? And I'm like, are we really at this point?
Oof. We're in August. That's what it is.
They were this point of training camp. Haynes King, the next Taysom Hill. Oh my gosh. What do we got here? Boys Dynasty question here. How do we feel about Jordan Love? Well, we're going to talk about Jordan Love in just a little bit here at Conley. Thank you for jumping on the show, Conley. Can't wait to see some of the articles you're going to write for 302 Birds, and appreciate your work on the draft. That was the draft guide. That was awesome right there. Right there. Thank you very much, Conley. Appreciate you. I think do we have another question? We got some Tony Pollard stuff there. We'll do some more questions at the end of the show, but I think it's time now, Jared, to get into our quarterback.
Oh no, the people are going to see. Oh my goodness. I'm so scared right now.
We're just going to get 0 views after this. I want to preface this by saying this is not ranking based on talent. This is not ranking based on who we think is the best quarterback. This is who we think is the most useful for your fantasy team.
Well said.
Because I want to talk to my friends about this, and they're like, brother, how could you have this guy so low? And it's like, well, think about it. We're not talking about talent. If we're talking about resume.
Undertaker, you just
talking to Hulk Hogan, brother, that doesn't work for me.
It's not for me, guy. I can't.
Now, if we're talking about resume, obviously Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, those are the premier quarterbacks. Those are the guys, those would be 1 and 2. That being said, let's start with 32 to 25. So we're going to break this up into 8, and we're going to start with quarterbacks 32 to
Raider
25.
Fans are going to hate me for eternity. it's just like my forever beef. It's cool. I'm for it.
What is it? Okay, so obviously looking at the rankings right here, Kirk Cousins for Jarrett, 32 for me. Hey, you know what? If you're gonna put your flag on that hill, plant your flag on that hill.
For sure. And I'm more just laughing at it because like I'm seeing it now, and it's like you literally brought it up the second we talked. Like you showed me it. Yeah, 32 and 31 probably should be swapped. The Cleveland Browns have the worst quarterback situation in the league, but for me at least, with Kirk and Mendoza, I've always kind of lived and died, and it's the same thing in Cleveland. So there's no hypocrisy from 32 to 31. If you have two quarterbacks, you have none. And the idea that, that's great that Kirk Cousins took this gig expecting Fernando to kind of just, at some point take the roles here. I'm looking at the big part of this, and Jalen Naylor is wide receiver 1. I understand Brock Bowers is in town, but I just don't know from a fantasy point how Kirk Cousins is going to necessarily deliver on a week in, week out basis. I mean, is it garbage time and that's how it gets it done? Okay, you got me there, I guess. But what is he, 38, 39 years old, a year and a half, not a year removed, but sitting halfway through the year. Yeah, a year removed, right? Or am I played at 25?
I think now it's 2, because I think it's actually longer than that. I think from the Achilles injury. I think we're talking now.
Yeah. I think
we're coming up
rostered.
I think the Achilles injury was 3 years ago, and that really when he tore his Achilles, that was really the last year he was even rosterable, and that was in Minnesota. He signs that absolutely ridiculous contract in Atlanta, and then Atlanta turns around and drafts Michael Penix. He then or Michael Penix, sorry, he then goes and gets drafted, or then he gets benched at some point during that season, and now Atlanta's literally paying him to be a backup, and he kind of sat there for the rest of that year. Came in the end of last year and looked pretty good, made Kyle Pitts serviceable, cut him. Now he's a Raider. I agree. Listen, and I think that's important to state the obvious here. None of these, you should not be rostering any of these guys. If you in a draft,
we won't be for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not touching.
Yeah. I don't want anyone on this list.
When we get talking about CJ Stroud, I'm going to go off on him for a second. But if you find yourself in need, unless you're in some crazy wonky league where you have to play 2 or more quarterbacks, you should not be looking at any of these guys. That being said, is there something there with Kirk Cousins? He's not the worst quarterback in the NFL. I think there is something there. It's just at this stage in his career, all you're expecting is passing, and that's probably going to be diminished at this point with a Raiders offense that's still trying to establish itself. I think, if anything, this is good for Brock Bowers.
I'm just about to say that. Do not think me having him at 32 makes me go, Bowers isn't my number 1 tight end, because in a weird universe, that's exactly how it is, because Bowers is going to get 80% of the passing game there.
If there's one thing Kirk Cousins has proven, it's that he can support tight ends. He did it with T.J. Hawkinson. He did it in Washington with
Jordan Reed.
Yeah, Jordan Reed. But also, here's a pull for you. Logan Thomas. Shout out to the League of Famous Gentlemen. Logan Thomas was a clutch tight end for fantasy. He was tight end. I think he was tight end 17.
He had a good stretch for a little bit. Old out of nowhere, but
he was rosterable. And that's what we're talking. Kyle Pitts looked good when Kirk Cousins was the quarterback there. So to me, if he's there and you take him as a backup, fine. But if you have to start him at any point, I would be probably looking at the waiver wire to see what else is there.
Right.
Cleveland situation's disgusting. I want nothing to do with Tua. I'll be honest with you. I think he's done. I just think, and then even if it's Michael Penix, I want nothing to do with Atlanta's quarterback situation.
In the O'Connell offense, I am intrigued to see what Tua is able to do just with his passing rhythm of an offense with O'Connell. Maybe he strings together a couple of games, but I don't think Atlanta has their franchise or foreseeable quarterback.
Not at all
in the room.
Yeah, and same for the Jets. Gino, Jacoby Brissett or Carson Beck. Yeah,
Jacoby's an interesting one because he led the league in passing attempts last year. I mean, for all that,
I think he either tied or set the record for most completions or consecutive completions in one game.
Oh snap!
I think that was I mean, obviously they got blown out. It was like, oh, you did 25 straight completions, but you still lost by 28 points.
He was slinging the ball all over the place. So Michael Wilson was the main factor there. I mean, now the fact that Marvin Harrison, hopefully he's upright, maybe catching balls other than his training camp videos, which hasn't been the case. But I think if anyone here, my two at least, Jacoby and Bryce, I'm not drafting. That's not happening. But you're telling me after week 1, week 2, they put together 2 games in a row. We're talking 3 2 touchdowns.
There's something there. Yeah.
1,000%.
I definitely think towards the bottom of, like, not the bottom of the list, but like the where we have guys ranked at 25, like Daniel Jones, for you, Bryce Young, like those are the guys where you could talk me into Daniel Jones. You could talk me into Daniel Jones as quarterback too, just because we saw it last year. We've seen it before. We know he can support the rushing side of things. Is there something there? I don't know. The Achilles injury scares me, but based off of what I saw and how really they didn't change much in that offense. I mean, just Michael Pittman's gone, but like you still have Downs, you still have Alec Pierce, you still have Taylor, you still have Ty Warren. I think there's enough there in the Colts offense where Daniel Jones will be fine. Aside from that, there's one other quarterback I want to talk about, and that is C.J. Stroud. Last year, I took a lot of grief because I was an early hook on Caleb Williams. I'm out. I'm done. I'm out. I'm done on C.J. Stroud. And this I'm not gonna walk it back either if he does start playing well.
Right.
C.J. Stroud will never. I'm pretty comfortable in saying if C.J. Stroud wins a Super Bowl, he will not be the starter of that team. There's no way he will ever be a starting quarterback for a Super Bowl winning team at this point.
Yeah, I mean, he's not giving me a lot to defend him with other than his lightning in a bottle rookie year.
That's it.
He dealt with quite a bit. I mean, there is a lot of excuses for him, but that's not the business that we're in. We're in the business of winning and stats, and C.J. Stroud has none of them. And the big one for me is the playoff games live rent-free in my head. The constant mistakes and the not timely, just the mishaps that it's not even like someone's in your face and you're messing up. You got 5 seconds in the pocket.
Yeah,
you're making these blatant excuse, like just dumb mistakes. And I don't think I'm there exactly with him. I have him right in the middle of Jacoby and Bryce, and I said I would take them. I still see the kid, that can sit in the pocket and throw a 65-yard spiral down the field. Like, he has the intangibles of what I want. It's really just the mental. I don't know if it's one of those, like, the yippies, and he's like, don't run, don't fumble. And he's constantly, like, when he's back in the pocket, over-analyzing everything. Maybe, from other quarterbacks that under-analyze, he's over-analyzing and thinking way too much. C.J. Stroud, his game right now, it's more technical than it is physical for me. And I don't have an issue with his physical, but the offensive line didn't improve much. Other than Nico Collins, you still don't have a 2 there to play. I understand Tank Dell's coming back, but I'm not banking anything into that. But
yeah,
that's bold. You hate CJ Stroud.
I'm comfortable just because my belief is like, okay, there's always some. If you have a great rookie year, there's always some level of regression in the NFL, and you saw that with him. I was not expecting it to be too. I mean, like, it's literally been rookie year, sophomore year, whatever last year was. Like, if it
wasn't for their defense, he's not where they were.
If it wasn't for their defense, they wouldn't even have been. They wouldn't be picking in the top 10 if it wasn't even for the
concur. I 1,000% concur.
And I also want to say this. I know there's injury excuses. There's the offensive line for him. This team, and I'm sorry to get a little loud here. This team has given him multiple investments into the wide receiver position. Multiple. They went out and got Stephon Diggs for him 1 year. They went out and they drafted 2 receivers for him. They kept Tank Dell because he likes Tank Dell so much, even though Tank Dell has basically no legs left here. What more do they need to give him for him to be effective? Do they need to go out and get Justin Jefferson? Do they need to find a way to get an elite receiver in here? If that's the case, then he's probably not that good to begin with. If he can't make chicken salad out of chicken, then he's just not. To me, he's just not there. The thing I overlooked about Caleb Williams is, despite Caleb Williams making mistakes, and then really I was more heated after the Thanksgiving game. That Thanksgiving game a few years ago, where it's just like, what is going on here? They let the clock expire. They lost to the Lions. I will say, I will give him his flowers. He made it work with like DJ Moore that didn't even want to be there, and then whatever else they had at receiver. CJ Stroud has been given decent enough assets in terms of targets through the draft. This team is like, it's not like they're giving him nothing here. They're giving him players. Like, Jaden Higgins is talented. And it's just like what is happening? Like, what is going on? He's worse? I'm out.
Well, that's where I think it's got to be a mental thing with him. But yeah, that's fair. I really can't argue against it too much. I'm right on the edge. Like, I'm about to give up, but like, I'm still, super flex for sure. I have no problem seeing him on my bench as like a QB2. It'd be a nasty quarterback too. I'm not thankful about it, but I'm not. I don't think I'm right as out as you are just yet. But he can very well change that week 2.
Let's get to the true QB2s here. These are quarterbacks
Oh,
actually ranked between 24 and 17. So now, when you think about it, if you're in a 12-team league and every owner rosters 2 quarterbacks,
I know
you're thinking 12, then you're thinking next 12. This is your 24. This is basically your quarterbacks that are probably going to be rostered in your league, or at least on the waiver wire and good streamers here. And for me, I mean, you talked about Bryce Young. Kind of like what I saw in the playoffs last year. I kind of thought like last year, unlike CJ Stroud, this was a step forward. Like you've progressively seen him get better. I don't know if he's going to be great next year or this year,
Right.
but I do think if he stays the way he was last year, I think he's still rosterable in most leagues.
Yeah, I'm fine with Bryce Young. I'm right there with you. The playoff game, him going shootout with the Rams and Stafford, that was a feat of itself. Now he's got his cat, his best friend Tedero McMillan. Bryce could absolutely improve. Him and Daniel Jones. We have Bryce and DJ swapped. I'm just a little bit more confident on Daniel. You're just a little bit more confident on Bryce.
The injury scares me.
And that's fair. The thing with the Panthers, it's that offense scares me, where the Colts, they have JT, Alec Pierce, Downs, Tyler Warren. The offensive line's great. That's literally, we're talking a difference between 24 and 25. That was enough for me. But Bryce, Daniel, we're talking close enough.
Yeah, and Malik Willis is another one here. Obviously Cam Ward. I think Cam Ward is interesting with Brian Dable as the offensive coordinator. They gave him a great receiver. I think Carnell Tate was the best receiver in the draft last year. And look, he's got his receiver. He's got Tony Pollard. He's got some good weapons around him in Tennessee. I'm interested to see what happens with Cam Ward. That being said, he's more of like option 3 for my QB2. Right. Not necessarily, the guy I'm targeting late in drafts and like hoping to get, but he's definitely like, one of my guys late in drafts where I'm like, I kind of like what I see here. Another guy that I really like, Sam Darnold. We can talk about Sam Darnold a little bit. I think you're just going to get what you get with Sam.
Oh, I didn't see you have him at 19. I missed that one. That's a big one. We better talk about him right now.
We will. But before we talk about that at 19, Malik Willis at 21 for me, 22 for you. Miami's a weird situation because they went from having a lot of talent around him to Devon A-Chain and then a bunch of just nobodies. So, but that being said, did Malik Willis show you enough last year as kind of, stepping in occasionally for Green Bay that maybe there's something here?
Reek and Waddle here, a healthy Reek and Waddle here. He's probably a lot higher for me. He showed more than enough. He was more than serviceable in the games without Jordan Love last year, an actual more than competent quarterback at times. And I think I have him in this tier, especially just because of the rushing prowess for him. He was a guy that had 50 to 60 rushing yards a game. He can get in the end zone. That's 11 freebie points that I'm taking, and then we're talking about what he's thrown on top of. But for me, Malik, just the talent of what could be with his legs, considering A-Chain and that's it, he's going to have to move. I mean, I'm kind of just baking in the fact that he's going to go 1 hitch, 2 hitch. I got to go. Like, A-Chain's not there on the check down. I got to get out somehow. So it is an ugly quarterback. That is not a sexy pick. Malik Willis isn't one that people behind you are going to go, oh, great pick. Like the thing you sent me, people are going to go, what is this guy doing? Like the second you sit down, you pick Malik. But, truth be told, I do think we are starting to see flashes of the quarterback that once was, 4 years ago coming out of Liberty, when I, for one, thought at least round 2, maybe like borderline, flirt with round 3. I didn't think he deserved the disrespect that he had coming out, and everyone saying he was undraftable.
Yeah, he definitely was a quarterback that I knew, like, if you take him, like, you probably have to sit him a year and just, like, let him absorb the NFL game, because, going from Liberty to the NFL, that's a steep jump right there to go from Conference USA right to the NFL. That being said, the talent's there. The note I gave in my rankings is I kind of view him as like a not a poor man's Lamar Jackson, but like a bankrupt man's Lamar Jackson. Like, he's going to give you rushing. I think his arm is good enough. I don't know if it's necessarily right there. Definitely has a rocket launcher for an arm. I think this is a situation where somebody's got to do something for Miami. And if you don't end up with Devon Achane, maybe you just like take a small shot on Malik Willis. And if he doesn't pan out, you're cutting him and you're picking up, someone else. Maybe you're picking up Tyler Shuck, who I think is a chance to be a pretty solid quarterback. But all right, I'll let you kind of dig in on me.
Oh yeah, 19.
Yes,
I gotta dig it. Like I get it, right? Really good defense. They want to run the ball. They haven't had what they've had on offense in a couple of years now. But I have no problem leaving a draft with him as my quarterback. You're telling me I go the entire draft, and then he's chilling round 13, round 14. Oh, my exempt pick because I didn't pick a quarterback was Patrick Mahomes. Like we're saying, like you said at the very beginning of this, we're not magnifying what you've done, what you can do necessarily for wins percentages, but we're talking the legit X's and O's, you getting fantasy points. 19, I'm definitely taking. You would take Kyler over Mahomes.
So here's my opinion on it.
Yeah.
And Patrick Mahomes has finished as a top 11 quarterback in fantasy. Last year he did a little bit better towards the end of the season before getting the leg injury. And that obviously pushed him down a little bit. The last couple of years scare me with this Chiefs offense just because, and I think I come from this as an Eagles fan, knowing the Andy Reid experience. Andy Reid's offense did get to a point where it got pretty stale. Matt Nagy leaving as the offensive coordinator is probably a good thing for the Chiefs as a whole. So I think their offense will be better. But I also think their offense will be targeted towards the run game more. And I think their goal is to really utilize Ken Walker because you don't really know when Rashee Rice is even going to play, if he's healthy. You don't know what you're going to get. Xavier Worthy has been a disaster, and you're on the final years, maybe weeks of Travis Kelce. We don't know. Travis Kelce obviously getting married to Taylor Swift in the offseason. Kind of seems like he's ready to wind it down more than ramp it up. So to me, what kind of world do we live in if Patrick Mahomes' best weapon is a running back and not necessarily his tight end or wide receiver? I think you live in a world where he's handing the ball off more. Also, we're coming off a knee injury. People forget he did tear his ACL late last year.
For sure. So
that's probably going to reduce a lot of the rushing. I will admit I'm probably pretty low on him, but that's also because the quarterbacks ahead of him, I also kind of see a path there with them. I think it's basically like this. The quarterbacks ahead of him, I see a clearer path towards a top 12 finish than I do with Patrick Mahomes at this very moment. I think Patrick Mahomes' ceiling is still outside the top 12.
If you knew right now that Rashee was going to play and Worthy was good injury-wise, and they had those two at least, would that change any bit? Like if you knew right now, all good to go, nothing's going to hold him back, he's not going to get a suspension, would that move him to like 15?
It possibly would. I actually probably move him to like 16, 15 in that range.
Okay.
That being said, I don't know. Like Rashee Rice has had as someone that owned Rashee Rice in a keeper league, and I could have kept him for multiple years, I was ready to move off of him as soon as I could. As soon as he acquired any little bit of value, I dumped him. I just got rid of him. And that's just because, in fantasy football, the best asset sometimes, the best feeling in the world is security. And with Rashee Rice, if you draft him, let's say you draft Rashee Rice as your wide receiver 1 or receiver 2. The entire year, every time you go to Sunday morning, you wake up at whenever you wake, 9 o'clock in the morning, to set your lineup before you go out and go grocery shopping or go to church or whatever you do Sunday mornings. You're going to be constantly thinking, 1, is he healthy? 2, is he going to be suspended? And 3, is Xavier Worthy going to take catches away from him? Because they're kind of the Chiefs are itching for anything out of Xavier Worthy.
Right.
So I just to me, it's a situation where I just don't know. And for that, he's at the bottom of my quarterbacks I'm comfortable taking there. But that being said, you and I both are really excited for Kyler Murray and to see what he can bring to the Vikings as he was just named the starter. And, I got to be honest with you, Kyler Murray on a contract year, pressure's on, rushing, the passing with a good receiver, out of that, kind of weird vibe of Arizona. Kind of like what I'm seeing there with him.
No, I'm all for it. I'm a big coach guy. You know, the fact that him and Kevin Stefanski are going to be able to link up and they're going to be able to actually get a rhythm to this offense. He was dealing with Jonathan Gannon the last couple of years. Who was his first coach? Who drafted him? It wasn't Jonathan Gannon that drafted him.
No, it was Cliff Kingsbury.
It was Cliff.
Yeah.
So just, okay, unorthodox style.
Where did
offense.
hold on. Now you got me thinking. Where did Cliff Kingsbury? Keep talking. Where did Cliff
I think
Kingsbury
he's back in
go?
college. But whatchamacallit? Yeah, Kyler and the account of what he's been used to in the NFL, I think Stefanski is going to be a blessing in disguise. You know, we talk about, you know, teams that have two quarterbacks, don't have any quarterbacks at all, and Minnesota already came out, you know, calling Kyler the guy. A couple of my buddies making a joke going like, oh, well, okay, well, maybe it's going to rain today too. I'm firmly in the belief that Kyler Murray is mountains better than J.J. McCarthy. I remember who Kyler Murray was at Arizona, and I'm old enough, as a joke, I'm not trying to say like people are young listening to us, but I'm old enough to remember him throwing a D-hop, and something tells me when he gets 18 and he starts throwing to Jettas, arguably the best receiver, one of the best players in all of football, he starts linking up with him. Don't forget Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson's still a guy, Aaron Jones, Jordan Mason. I mean, just for me, the offensive line, the play callers, I believe in the 3 big Ps, right? Play callers, protection, playmakers, and they have all 3. Kyler Murray, to me, is beyond more than serviceable quarterback. I think sky's the limit for Kyler Murray.
Dalt seems to agree with me here. The Vikings over Mahomes, and he added a little bit.
You can't see Kyler for me yet. He's coming. Don't worry. Don't worry. I don't have him over Mahomes.
You're higher on Kyler than me, and yeah, we'll get to the next part of it in 1 second.
Me about Jackson Dart?
We'll talk about Jackson Dart in 1 second. I do want to say, so I looked it up what Cliff Kingsbury is doing right now, and you mentioned earlier about Ty Simpson. Cliff Kingsbury is the assistant. He's in Los Angeles in the Rams.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Alabama.
So you're getting McVay. And you're getting Cliff Kingsbury for a year, and you don't have to play. That kind of changes my thoughts on Ty Simpson a little bit. That's all I'm saying. We'll talk about Jackson Dart in a second. Conley did have a question from earlier about Jordan Love, and I see here Jordan Love is your 17th quarterback. So I think, you know, Jackson Dart will obviously talk about that. I'll give you plenty of chances to riff like I did on Patrick Mahomes, but I kind of want to hear you out on Jordan Love because I'm a little higher on Jordan Love than you are.
For me, it is a pocket passing quarterback. Jordan gives not little, none at all, but it's little to none. I mean, we're talking Alex Smith levels of rushing. Jordan Love's someone who runs when he has to, not necessarily off of design. I mean, unless they're on the one, everyone seemingly just gives the ball to the quarterback and runs up the middle. But excluding that, for me, I'm really just – I understand something should happen with this receiving core. I'm not sold on Christian Watson. I'm not magically bought in just because Romeo Doubs isn't there anymore. I understand Matthew Golden's still a cat there. Jaden Reed, they have to figure out what he is. They're the exact same receiver, Matthew Golden and Jaden Reed. Tucker Kraft's dealing with the ACL, if he's going to fully be available for the entire season. Josh Jacobs has got some weird off-the-field stuff, and now he's dealing with the knee stuff. For me personally, I like Jordan Love. If I was a general manager making a football team, I think Jordan Love's one of the top 15 quarterbacks in the league probably if I were to actually look at it. But for fantasy purposes, I've had him for a couple of years now. I took him last year. I won a fantasy championship with him 2 years ago. He's vanilla. He's good enough. But, for fantasy purposes, he's just not going to take you to that next step. His blow-up games were 24, 25 points. He's not going to rock your socks and give you 40, 35.
I do agree with that last sentiment. I think the Packers, I kind of almost felt like the Packers getting rid of Dontavian Wicks, I thought would help flesh things out. And I still am kind of Christian Watson, I think, has talent, but how many games is he going to play? Jaden Reed, I think, has a lot of talent. How many games is he going to play? So let's say week 8, 9, 10, all of a sudden it's just Matthew Golden. I'm not thinking that Jordan Love is going to do a lot with Matthew Golden and Tucker Kraft, and that's all he has. Now, the Josh Jacobs stuff did, from what I understand, it did flesh itself out. I think those were false allegations, and I think charges were dropped there. But that being said, I'm a big vibes guy. that's the last thing you want to have on your back walking into training camp is any kind of abuse allegation. You don't want to deal with any of that. So there's just Packers kind of have weird vibes. You lose your quarterback's coach, your offensive coordinator's gone. It's kind of now on the shoulders of Matt LaFleur. I think Matt LaFleur.
They're an identity crisis. And, I know we're offense fantasy football. Micah Parsons is going to be out for a little bit since he was out the second half with an ACL last year.
Doesn't feel like a rebuild year, but definitely feels like a transitional year into kind of like it's almost like going back to this is the Matt LaFleur show. Put your stamp on things and we'll see. But okay, Jackson Dart at 20. Wow,
he should be a lot higher. I'll be brutally if I was really like scoping this at home. Let me actually see my whole rankings here. I would probably have him. Because for me at least, and I'm not trying to give away too much. I know we got more quarterbacks to talk about, but this is just kind of just ignorance and disrespect to Jackson Dart. His rushing prowess. I did not realize how great he was in that aspect of it. So I need to boost him up considering where I'm at with Jaden and Jalen Hurts. I need to factor that into a couple things. But Jackson Dart for me, I'm just not sold he's a good quarterback in the NFL. My worries with him are his one-arm talent and just in general, the Giants. I mean, Isaiah Likely is going to be their best receiver until Malik Neighbors comes back. That's the really big testament for me. Jackson Dart can improve a lot, but just when we're talking arm talent, I see a cat that it's just an unorthodox kind of a throw. I'm not in love when I watch 6 drop back in the pocket. It's a weird eye test game for me. But I do definitely have to move him up considering just how much he runs.
I'll talk about Jackson Dart when I get to him in my rankings, but I have him ranked higher, and I think I have a harsher critique of Jackson Dart. But we'll get to that here as we get to 16 to 8. So these are quarterbacks right now. These are quarterbacks right now where, if you want to start one of these guys, these are starter quarterbacks in your fantasy league. And for me, starting off with Jackson Dart, the frustrating thing for me with the Giants right now is, when they first hired John Harbaugh, I kind of had oh, wow, Harbaugh, he's a competent head coach. But then I thought about it a little bit. What did the Ravens always lose? How did the Ravens always lose last year? It was late sloppy plays, late fumbles, late drops, late, penalties, late mistakes, effectively, late mistakes. And what do the Giants always do? They make a lot of mistakes. That last year they made a ton of mistakes with Brian Daboll as their head coach. And even when they let go of Daboll as their head coach, they still were making mistakes. So, is Harbaugh going to come in there and electrify the offense? No, he's not an offensive guy. He's not really a defensive guy. He's more of a locker room guy. The offensive coordinators he brought in, I mean, God, I hate Matt Nagy. Matt Nagy's a blue hen, and I'll always appreciate what he did for the University of Delaware Blue Hens and that sort of thing. As a NFL offensive coordinator, you don't want to see Matt Nagy as your offensive coordinator. You just don't. I just don't think enough development has happened with his offenses that have taken any of the teams to the next level. He had a little run in Chicago. Kansas City kind of parted ways with him twice. I'm not really vibing to that. And then they went out and got Greg Roman, who, I mean, my God, Greg Roman, I think he's still running offensive sets from the early 2000s. And it's just brother, if their offense looks like anything like it's going to come out of that, it's almost like you don't want those two guys cooking for you. What kind of meal is going to come out of that kitchen?
A nasty steak.
A very well done hockey puck.
The only good thing about it's the logo and the NFL on the back of the helmet. That's all we got out of that one.
So that's where I'm at on Jackson Dart. I think something's there. I also am kind of not liking the vibes of the Giants right now, where you don't know if, I know Malik Neighbors isn't going to start on the pup. Looks like he's healthy. That being said, if he's any injury signs there early on and he misses any time, they go from Malik Neighbors to pretty shallow in that wide receiver pool very quickly.
Yeah, 1,000%. The Nagy one was, I totally forgot Nagy's now their play caller. That's like you find out the boogeyman's under your bed. A couple coordinators. It's him and Arthur Smith. So I find out that they're in town. Is
Arthur Smith is not. I think he's still in. Is he in Pittsburgh still?
Think so.
I hope not.
Yeah.
Oh God. Oh Christ.
Think so.
I have Baker Mayfield, Jordan Love, and Stafford as my 15, 14, 13 there. For you, pretty high on Kyler, and we talked about it there. But also, me and you are kind of lock in step where Trevor Lawrence is. We're only off by a few spots there. Trevor Lawrence is an interesting character.
I mean, we're talking baby Josh Allen to a degree here. I think they finally let him.
I think that's a great description. Poor man's Josh Allen. It's a great description.
Duval. We went from laughing at him to now looking at him. We were talking about it earlier. I think you said it on here when we were talking. No, you didn't say it on here when we were talking about the Jaguars beforehand. And yeah, when you look at the receiving core, it's disgusting. But me personally, I kind of swing on the other side where you were coming at with the Jags. I think they have the capabilities of being one of the better offenses in the league in general. I mean, they gave a big chunk of change to Brendan Strange. They have Parker Washington. You saw what Brian Thomas could do rookie year. You still have Travis Hunter. And then Jacoby Myers is still kicking it. I mean, there's a lot of mouths to feed. But that's kind of how Liam Cohen had it. Like, there wasn't a dignified one. Everyone was getting a good slice of the bread. And it was kind of just able to move the ball at a pro level that really we haven't seen out of Trevor Lawrence since he's come into the league. And if he can kind of just piggyback off of what last year was, and Liam Cohen just let's keep a little bit off the leash, and we really get to see the true, why he was taken number one overall. I'm not gonna slow down the hype train on Trevor Lawrence because I've been there since day one. So I'm back right back where I left off.
I think my approach to the Jags offense is, they have a lot of mouths to feed, so just go get the quarterback. I think that like Green Bay last year, they have a lot of mouths to feed, just get the quarterback. Don't Denver, they have a lot of mouths to feed, just get the quarterback. I think there's three teams that are like that: Denver, Green Bay, and Jacksonville, where why sit there and stress over starting, Parker Washington, Brian Thomas, or Jacoby Myers? Just go get the quarterback. Just go get the quarterback. Maybe the running back to kind of see what's happening there. I kind of, maybe it's going to be Chris Rodriguez. Maybe it'll be Bashal Tootin. Maybe it'll be a split backfield. But for me, Trevor Lawrence, he gives you great rushing upside. He's got a great arm. And I think there is kind of a good teaming there between Liam Cohen and Trevor Lawrence to work with in Jacksonville. Purdy's Purdy, Stafford's Stafford. Moving up the rankings a little bit. Bo Nix. Again, if you're stressing about what to do in the Denver offense, just go get Bo Nix. Take Bo. Just make it easy on yourself.
His ADP right now, he's sitting there round 8, round 9. Hopefully I say that, not too loud and everyone start typing that up. But yeah, I love where he's going. I am very much I'm firm in the belief of you don't need a Josh Lamar, the big guys that we're about to start talking about. You don't need a top dog to win it all. I've won plenty of championships with guys that we have on this board right now. Not necessarily these guys, but the rankings of I have a top 9 to 16, anywhere from 20 to 9 type of guy. But the rest of my team ended up looking exactly how I wanted it to. But my quarterback, God forbid.
So I want to ask you before we wrap up this part and go to the top 8. And for the top 8, not a lot of indifference between me and Jarrett on the top 8. But I do have to ask you, Justin Herbert at 11, really?
Yeah, I understand the Mike McDaniel offense. Everyone's excited to see what that's going to be. If this just turns out to be Harbaugh is controlling how happy and like how excited that he gets, and this just ends up being John Harbaugh's offense, I'm not going to be surprised. For me, at least, I think it's just a Herbert, and I know who he is. I kind of look at him as like now newer Derek Carr. I think he's good. I think he's got all the intangibles. I wish he ran more. I would have him over Bo and over Pat if he ran more, because I see him and I look at they're literally 5 pounds off of him and Josh Allen. No reason why Herbert shouldn't be taking off more, but he just doesn't. I mean, is it an athletic thing? No, he ran a 4.7. He can run. Justin Herbert is fast, but it there's nothing to do with is Herbert a good quarterback? And for me, I'm taking everyone else that I have there. I mean, I would want Patrick Mahomes. For me, with what Mahomes does on the football field, you're telling me, I go my whole draft not taking quarterback. Mahomes is sitting there. I can't think of a sexier pick to make round 13, round 14. When we add in Rashee Rice and, oh my God, Xavier Worthy, 1,000%. I believe in that, but I side on the more. I think we're not going to get a suspension week 6. Week 3, Roger Goodell's not.
I don't think you're going to end season. Yeah, but it's like if we're talking like you did your draft, the week before the season starts, so like September 3rd. And we're 3 days before the first game of the season, and you just get that. That's my thing is like that would feel like a kick in the nuts. Like you would be like, oh my god.
And then like people that drafted Andrew Luck and then he retired a week later. Oh,
dude, I'll never forget that. Brutal. Or if you want to go back even further, people that drafted Jamar Charles and then he tore his ACL, and you're just like, well, there's my first round pick. Yeah. The best advice I can give on this show, and we'll both probably contest to this, is push your draft as late as you possibly can, because the last thing you want to deal with is a week or two of, I hope now these guys don't get hurt. Like, people that draft their rosters in like July, like, what are you doing? Like August, what are you doing? No, September.
It's crazy. I know people that have already done their drafts. I have 2 people that have sent me their rosters, and I'm like, what do we like? The fact that it's now August 11th, you sent me this 2-3 days ago. But yeah, we got bigger fish to fry. Let's talk about
that.
These cats.
That is disgusting, and they should be ashamed of themselves. So I heard you. And it's Drake May at 8, and a lot of people have him 5 and higher.
I don't hate that.
I just think regression is going to hit, even with AJ Brown. Regression is going to hit the Patriots like an anvil. And here's the deeper details to the Patriots season that I don't think a lot of people paid attention to. They played absolutely nobody during the year. They didn't. Bills twice. Okay, you split with them. That's a divisional game. You kind of you're coin flipping that constantly.
The other 2.
Panthers and the Steelers. Now, the Panthers ended up being a pretty solid playoff team, still bounced in the first round at home against the Rams. Took the Rams to the wire, though. And then you played the Steelers were lame duck team walking. Like, what are we doing here? So they didn't really play anyone. And then you saw the absolute cakewalk. I mean, you played the beat up Chargers. You played the Stroud seeing lights, deer in the headlights Texans. And then you played the Broncos, who had to start Jarrett Stidham for I think it was his first start.
I was playing quarterback.
I mean, literally, Jarrett was playing quarterback. I'm sorry, Jarrett. You let your team down.
I tried my hardest. I really did. That first on 3rd and long on the first drive, I let it go to Marvin. I really did.
But like you were watching that game with Jarrett Stidham as quarterback, and he's just like, then the snow came in, and he's just throwing ducks all over the. I mean, I thought I was watching a migration of ducks just moving south of Massachusetts, or south of Denver. That was a disaster. And then you saw what happened when he got to the Super Bowl and played an actual defense. And I think that's the thing that people don't talk about. Like, so the Patriots are going to play a better schedule this year. Their defense is going to face better off. I mean, like, you're playing the Jets twice. You're playing they lost to people forget they lost to the Raiders, I think, week 1. Like, you're going to play better offenses. So their defense isn't going to be that good. You're going to play better defenses. So, like, yeah, I think AJ Brown's a great player to have in fantasy. Yeah, I think you should totally draft Ramondre Stevenson late. Yeah, I totally think you should get Hunter Henry as your second tight end. I think if you draft Drake May and expect him to be a top 5 fantasy quarterback, you're going to be severely disappointed. That being said, I don't think he's going to fall outside the top 10, but I do see a greater path for him being a worse spot quarterback in terms of where he finishes than a better one.
Yeah, I'm with you with the part of that. I do think regression 1,000%. Yeah, I definitely think
it's gonna hit him like a Tom and Jerry anvil.
To expect him to just finish as the quarterback 2 all over again, you're doing the dance wrong. But the idea that the offense didn't get better, no, you already said that the offense did get better. 1,000% did. But realistically speaking, where he was last year and why it was such a value is Drake May wasn't getting drafted. Like, this was a guy you weren't taking at leaving your draft. And now we're putting into our rankings right now the expectation of he has to be here. Okay, well, if you're taking him round 4, I'm right there with you, Benny. I am probably not leaving a lot of drafts with Drake May. A little too rich for my blood. But truthfully, if we're sitting there round 6, round 7, and I have the ability to go grab him, I will pull the trigger. Because from what he was last year, how he Houdini'd himself to finishing as the quarterback 2 with the receiving core that he had, having A.J. Brown, Romeo Doubs for me does make it a little bit more, okay, I was not bought in, but didn't want to take the chance on you year 2. I mean, last year, and now you make this leap having a first place
Yeah.
schedule. There's a lot to be had here, but for me at least, it's almost like the same thing I said with Trevor Lawrence. This cat's got Josh Allen intangibles, and he runs. And my biggest thing with quarterbacks, if you take off, I want you. So I have to move Jackson Dart up. I have no choice.
That is free points. We do have a question here from our YouTube page, the 302 Birds YouTube page. Alexander Schneider, are these the best quarterbacks? So this is, Alexander, this is fantasy football. And in terms of, if this was best, obviously we're talking about resume. That's a different thing. Or right now being the best. This is fantasy football ranking. So where these players would rank in terms of their fantasy football output. The criteria, you asked about the criteria. Criteria is basically our takes on this and kind of where we kind of our guys versus where we see them. That's the criteria. So I think that question right there. And Alexander, great. So stick around. We're still talking about some of these guys. Wrapping up on Drake May. I just, as I said earlier, Jarrett, I think both of us agree. Regression's going to hit the Patriots pretty hard. Regression's going to hit the Patriots pretty hard, and I'm worried
more for a team than him. Truthfully,
yes. I still think the Patriots are a playoff team, but I don't see them. I think they could go from winning their division to being the second or third wild card team, and that's realistic.
They got to deal with number one on our list, the Great White Hope.
That's okay. We got another question here, or another statement here. Yeah, as a Pats fan, I'm glad to see someone is reasonable on May. Yeah, I mean, yeah. But the one thing Jarrett and I are, and maybe it's to the detriment of ratings for the show, but me and Jarrett are very reasonable and very rational in terms of how we view these guys. It's what makes the show so great. All right, moving up the rankings list here a little bit. Dak Prescott, I have him 7th. I think you have him 8th. I think we're both lock in step with what the Cowboys. Dak Prescott to me is like, and this is where I'm going to plant my flag. I think a lot of the Eagles fans that watch the show might get a little mad at me. Wow. I want Dak Prescott on the team. Wow. Like for where he goes in drafts, you can get him in like the 7th round. So would you rather have Josh Allen, or would you rather wait a few rounds and have Dak Prescott, who's going to give you probably as much passing upside? I mean, we're done on the rushing stuff with Dak, but okay, you can add maybe another running back or a wide receiver to your team instead of having to, burn the quarterback position early.
He gives you what, you're looking across. We were talking about other quarterbacks earlier in the receiving cores. We're talking, if not the best receiving tandem in football, right there too, outside of Jamar and T. Higgins, CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, what they bring to the table. If that doesn't entertain you enough to want Dak Prescott, you're kind of playing this whole game wrong. I mean, it's got it, like you're saying, the mouths to feed. All right, maybe you can't pick one out. Give me the quarterback. And when you have two studs like George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb, people want to keep playing the game that George is the one. That's a whole other conversation. But Dak Prescott has two alphas at receiver, and this offense, considering that defense didn't get much better. I mean, I understand you get Caleb Downs, you draft a D tackle, and everyone's oohing and ahhing about an Enrique, but I don't think this defense changes overnight. I still think that they're going to have to score a lot more than what their defense is going to be able to stop. Yeah, I'm right there with you. For me, all of these guys are incredible. If anything, I guess I plant my flag on 7, Caleb Williams. I'm more than fine leaving drafts with him. I kind of constantly drafting, Caleb around 6 or 7, and then I'm getting Rome around later, getting that little discount of the Chicago stack. Yeah. But I think sky's the limit for the Madden cover with Caleb Williams, and I'm right there with you with that.
Yeah, the Madden cover scares me a little bit with Caleb, but that being said, I think at this point, if you let the Madden cover impact too much of your draft strategy, what are we, 4 years old?
Right.
Come on, if injuries happen, you don't base it off of that. That being said, Caleb to me is a guy I'm really going to be higher on next year. Give me one more year in the Ben Johnson offense to finish out those fine details, build a little more chemistry with Luther Burden and Colston Loveland. And then to me, Caleb Williams is a guy that next year I probably would be putting in my top 5 potentially. A guy that I could see sliding out of my top 5 here is Jaden Daniels. I don't want to sit here and say there's some bad juju with the Commanders. They just lost their left tackle. Last year, there was some regression there. That team kind of overall got really old, and Jaden Daniels paid a pretty big price in terms of his body. I still think he's a quarterback that you can't not put in your top 5. But I also see a path there where you might be disappointed if you take him early.
1,000%. This is what's the you either really love them or really hate them. There's a word for this. I'm just not using my brain. And there's some Jada Daniels is you either love him or you hate him. And for me,
He's polarizing.
Polarizing. Yeah, there it is. I love the cat. I think there's everything to be had and some with him. Stephon Diggs coming helps a tiny bit. Doesn't make me move my rankings for him at all, but it gives me, all right, he's got a 2 that he could at least rely on. Anyway, long story short, for me, Jaden, like I've been saying, like a broken record, I need the rushing upside. I absolutely love the rushing upside. Hence why I have Lamar, Jalen, where they're at, especially with Jaden. I probably would even take him over Drake if push came to shove, just because Jaden's rookie year was just absolutely incredible, and I kind of just fell in love with the player himself. So it is a little bit of a bias between Jaden and Drake, but we're talking 6 and 5. Anyway, what I'm getting at is this is a cat that can literally run for 800, 900 if he really wants to 1,000 yards. His rushing ability and just the athletic ability with Jaden Daniels is through the roof out on top of what he's able to do with the ball in his hand. For me, Jaden, I understand there is a little bit to be had with Washington, Dan Quinn, is the play calling, the protection. But I think he's one of those that he could just backpack and become one of those quarterbacks over the course of time. And I guess, I don't know, he's just a bad dude.
He is a bad dude. I just wonder what happens next year if they get a new head coach. Maybe it's an offensive-minded head coach, Mike McDaniel. What happens there? But that being said, be a rookie, and to go from being a rookie to MVP, being in the MVP conversation, that is impressive for Jaden. I'll never forget that. That's a better first year than CJ Stroud's ever had. Final note on the quarterbacks here for me. I'll give you a chance to speak. Earlier I said there was one more quarterback that I believe could walk into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And that quarterback is on this list. And he is in the top 3.
So I was right. I was right.
It is Lamar Jackson.
I don't know if you can Lamar in the corner.
Two-time MVP, the most prolific rushing quarterback in NFL history. I think Lamar, if he plays one more year, even if he's okay, I think Lamar Jackson's the third walk-in Hall of Fame quarterback. To me, Michael Vick and Randall Cunningham, those guys both set a new precedent for rushing quarterbacks. Fran Tarkenton was the first kind of scrambler, scamper type quarterback. People will even go back to saying like Bobby Douglas was the first quarterback that exclusively ran.
You're going back.
I'm going back. To me, I don't know if we will ever, I have my doubts that we'll ever see a better running quarterback, just straight speed, athleticism than Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson was doing things to defenses that you see on like 2K basketball games. Like it was like hitting guys with spins, putting them in the spin cycle. Lamar Jackson, to me, from what you saw on the field, those stats, the results, the multiple MVPs, he might even have to play this year, and I think he's a Hall of Famer.
So who were the quarterbacks? It was
Aaron Rodgers, Pat Mahomes, Lamar Jackson.
No, Stafford.
Really? Stafford, has the one Super Bowl, has the one MVP. I think he's right there. I think I want to see a few more. I want to see him move up the stat, if you look at like the all-time stat list, I want to see him move up a little bit further. And I think he has the chance to pass. I might be completely wrong on this, but I think he has the chance to pass Phillip Rivers this year. And then once I think he gets over Phillip Rivers, might be only like a game or two for him to do that. Then I think Stafford would be the fourth quarterback that could walk into the Hall of Fame.
Fair enough. I don't hate that at all. I was expecting Lamar. I wrote down Lamar, but then I did kind of just have a jog in my memory. I figured you said Stafford, so for me at least, Stafford's in the Hall for me at least. I can't put him in the Hall of Very Good, but final thoughts on Lamar at least. We're talking the guy that literally you're talking about his athletic prowess, that when he was coming out, teams didn't want him to be a running back and receiver because he couldn't throw the ball. It's just because he was that fast. He was that gifted, just in open space with the ball in his hand. What he was doing at Louisville was absolutely insane. To see him blow up the second year, win the amount of championships that he did for people. It is funny, the pendulum that has immediately swung on him. People have already forgot how great he is and what he can truly do. People are going off of he can't play football anymore, and last year is who he really is. He was playing hurt. That is not like, if you
what are we
can look
talking
at his
about?
first 5 years and go, okay, and then turn on last year and go, there's nothing wrong there, then you're just not watching ball. I mean, this is a brother that literally had a hard time dropping back in the pocket, let alone throwing, doing anything outside, making what is Lamar Jackson. But you nailed it on the head. We're talking a potential Hall of Fame candidate, 2-time MVP, should have 3. But undoubtedly one of the best quarterbacks in the game right now. And after Josh, I'm taking Lamar. Then it's the list.
Yes, that's for me. That's the same exact thing. It's if we were to do a tier list here, it's Josh, Lamar. Then there's a second tier that has kind of like a bunch of guys, and then there's a third tier that has a bunch more guys. To me, if you, and I can understand why you take these guys early in drafts. To me, you do this if you nail your running back pick and you nail your wide receiver pick in the first 2 rounds, then go ahead and get Josh Allen.
Absolutely.
Then you go ahead and grab him, and now you'll feel invincible because you won't have to sit there and sweat out the decision to start Brock Purdy or Kyler Murray. You won't have to deal with that.
Yeah.
But that's our rankings. Any final thoughts, Jared, on the rankings that we had? Because any final comments?
I stress really be patient. I understand, like you just said, it is, if you draft right and then you go Josh, 1,000%. If the board falls, you're sitting there in a home league, round 5, round 6, and Josh Allen's staring at you in the face, don't listen to what I'm saying and wait till round 13. You take Josh Allen at round 5 or round 6. But in the totality of things, it's just be patient. The quarterbacks, there's 32 of them. And the difference between, outside of who we just said, Lamar and Josh, from 3 to 13, we're talking what? Pennies to the dollar. We're talking 2 or 3 touchdowns different for rushing and passing. I just be patient with quarterbacks. They will always be there. And don't feel like you got to take your team's quarterback. The people that just, for no reason, I was in a draft last year with a Steelers fan who decided to take Aaron Rodgers round 7 just because of his name, and he's a Steelers fan, and he genuinely thought it was an okay pick. And he had 9 other gentlemen laughing at him all night for 4 hours. So don't have the secondhand embarrassment. Don't embarrass yourself. Don't take your homer quarterback early, and just be patient and enjoy your drafts.
Be patient, enjoy your draft. Know your league. Know how people are going to pick, because if there's a Bills fan in there, then they might grab Allen early, and kind of just plan for that. I always say have like 4 to 5 guys you like in each round.
Always.
And, I think the other thing is just to say, hey, would you rather have this guy or this guy? And then kind of base your decision off of that.
Absolutely.
One final fan question we did get here, and it was from Conley. It was earlier. Conley, I apologize not getting through this early, but if you listen to the audio on Spotify, you'll be able to listen to this question here. Had a question on how we felt about the Titans backfield situation. Pollard, Spears, and Singleton. Listen, this is Tony Pollard's backfield to lose. I think at this point, whatever people thought Tajay Spears would be is just not going to happen.
All right.
That being said, it's a Penn State fan. I think Singleton's a talented running back. I just don't know if he's going to make an impact this year.
I don't know if they're going to finish it, but I was just thinking about it as you were reading it real quick. It just seems right. I think a really good comp is not how they're going to finish, but I think if you kind of looked at how we looked at Chicago's backfield last year, Swift, Monungai, and who was the third? It wasn't Roshan Johnson. Someone took his gig.
Swift, and we were kind
of there was someone else.
It was
random.
There was someone else. Yeah,
and
someone because Roshan Johnson, man. Imagine being that
face
guy.
Of earth.
Yeah, just
poof. So it's like, I think at the end of the season, if Pollard's at top 18, he's literally number 18. That wouldn't ultimately surprise me. But if you're telling me, he finishes as top, bottom 35, that obviously won't surprise me. If you're taking Pollard, I hope it's a depth piece. I hope you didn't just go like 5 receivers, a quarterback, and a tight end, and finally took him. The Titans' backfield it's going to go where Cam Ward's going to go. And if the Titans and that defense can string together a couple, then yeah, Pollard and Spears, not even Spears, but Pollard could be serviceable. But I'm not ecstatic by any means drafting Tony Pollard. But I guess he's a cute bench play,
Yeah, hey, if you're in a dynasty league and you want to grab a rookie running back and Katron Allen's not there and Jordan Love, obviously not Jordan Love, Jeremiah Love and all those guys aren't there. Yeah, go ahead and grab Singletary. The running back you were thinking of is Britton Brown.
Some random, yeah,
some random dude. Yeah, I was like, who was that guy? And it was Britton Brown. Yeah, wonderful. Last little bit.
Nope, sorry.
No, you're good. Last little bit. The next show we'll do will be Sunday morning at 9 o'clock. We're kind of falling into our regular schedule that you'll see moving forward. And that'll be a mock draft show. We'll go through a mock draft. Myself, Jarrett, we'll have a couple of guests for you as well. We'll announce that midweek here on 1 o'clock somewhere. But Jarrett, we went through, I know it was a long episode, but we went through it. We did all 32 quarterbacks. Now we can breathe or sigh of relief and do the running backs next week.
Oh, God. I'm kidding. It's fun. I love doing this. I love crunching the numbers, getting a couple, and not even the highlights, but just like kind of even like a couple of the lowlights, just looking around. Like before we even did this, I was like, should I threw Jack's Dart highlights on? Like, all right, let me see what the kids are looking at. Let me see if I got
the juice is flowing a little bit.
For sure.
Yeah, you get start going. Yeah, I'm 6 to midnight pretty quick. But that does it for here at 1 o'clock somewhere. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we will have the mock draft show coming up for you this Sunday on 1 o'clock somewhere. Take care.
Peace, everyone.
It's 1 o'clock somewhere, a fantasy football podcast. With Jarrett, and Benny. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time. It's 1 o'clock somewhere, a fantasy football podcast.